Masechta Makos Daf Daled Amud Aleph. We're starting from 4 lines on Gimel Amud Beis. Since we were mentioning many dinim of Rabbi Yehuda Amud Rav and Rav Kahana asking Shaila, so we're continuing with more Hirais. Rabbi Yehuda Amud Rav. So even more so says Rabbi Yehuda Amud Rav. And we're going to talk about mikvahs now. The din is by mikvah you need 40 saw of make shamim in order for the mikvah to be a kosher mikvah. And once you have that, even if you're going to add 3 lugin of mayim shuvim, it's not going to pass the mikvah. If it was in the reverse, if you put in 3 lugin of mayim shuvim and you put rainwater on top of it, it's going to be possible. Now we're going to talk about that in the mikvah there's missing only 3 lugin, and here we're talking about shlish lugin mayim shenafel seichan koitev shalyayim, that there were 3 lugin of mayim of a mayim shuvim, drawn water, which possible the mikvah, but minus a kurtiv of the 3 lugin of mayim shuvim, there was wine in it, and now wine does not passel the mikvah. But here we have, and shlish lugin mayim does, but here we have shlish lugin mayim and a drop of wine, and the looks of it now it looks like wine. V'nafel is lemikvah, and it fell into the mikvah, which didn't have 40 sav mayim ksheim, loip saluhu. Then the mikvah does not become puzzle because of the mayim she'uvim, because it's not a full 3 lugin, because part of it was missing a kurtav, and it was mixed with yayin, and the looks is yayin, and therefore it's going to be kosher. It's not going to pass the mikvah. Maskal Rav Kahana, because it's considered as less than 3 lugin. Maskal Rav Kahana asked Takasha Chima Bein Zeh L'Meitzava. How is this any different than 3 lugim of dyed water? That's not that we learned in the Mishnah. Rabbi Yossi says that Meitzava, dyed water, is considered as mayim shuvim. If there was 3 lugin of that, place not mikvah with shlish lugin, it passes the mikvah with 3 lugin. And we don't go according to the looks. We just said, according to the words of Rav, that if the looks is not like water, it's not going to pass the mikvah. Amalei Rav said, over there you call it dyed water. So since it's called water still, it's considered as shlish lugin water that passed the mikvah. But over here, by water that was mixed with yayin, and the looks was changed to the looks of a wine, Chamra mezika migri, it's called diluted wine, and since it's called diluted wine, it's wine, and therefore the shlish lugin will not pass the mikvah. Reb Chia learned in the Baraisa, mamish the same case, shlish lugin mayim shuvim, in which a koitev yayin fell in, and now it has the looks of wine, and it fell into a mikvah that was missing 40 saw. Hayridu es hamikvah. They made the mikvah possible. It took herido means they removed it from its hechsher to psul, because it passed the mayim kshenim that was in the make shaman that was in the mikvah. This mayim shuvim of shlish lugin passed, which had wine mixed in that shlish lugin, passed the make shaman that was in the mikvah, which was less than 40 sa. Amarav le kasha. This is not a kasha. Ha Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. This is following Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. It says that we go according to looks. If the looks change, it's not going to pass on mikvah. Harabanan, but this Baraisa that teaches us that we pass on the mikvah even if the looks have changed, that follows the shita of the Chacham who argue in Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. If not, that we learned in the Mishnah, shleishis lugis mayim, lugim mayim, chaser kaito. There's 3 lugim of mayim missing a little bit. Shenafel l'sircha kaito yayin, in which that little bit was mashing the 3 lugim with wine, and the looks changed to the looks of wine. It does not become puzzle. And even if it was 3 lugim of water, missing chasar keita, missing a little measurement, in which milk was mashing it to 3 lugim, according to Tanakama, even if the looks did not change, it still looks like water. And over there it fell into the mikvah, these 3 lugin, meaning chasa kaitva, a little bit it was of milk. Loy pasalu. The Tanakama says it doesn't passel it because it's not considered a 3 lugin mayim. Sure, you need 3 lugin of drawn water, but since in that missing kurtav there was milk or wine, That's why the Chacham say it's not considered as a full 3 lugin of drawing water to passel the mikveh. Rabbi Yochanan Nuri says, even if there was 3 full lugin of Maim Shuvim, and then wine was put on it afterwards, and it changed the looks, it's still not going to passel the mikveh. It says the Gemara, Rav explained that the Rav, meaning the Psak of Rav, only follows according to Rabbi Yochanan Nuri, who says that it's not going to passel the mikveh because the looks changed. Not according to Rabbanan. According to Rabbanan, if there were 3 lugin of mayim, even if you're going to put wine later on it and it's going to change the looks, it's still going to be passel. According to Rabbanan, according to Rabbi Yochanan, only according to Rabbi Yochanan, if the looks has changed, even though there's 3 lugin of water, mayim shuvim, drawn water, and then you added wine and changed looks, according to Rabbi Yochanan, he'll talk about mutter, and that's who you want to say that follows. Why do you have to say that Rav only goes according to Rabbi Yochanan? Rav Papa was nistapik, was mesuping in this, in what the Gisa of Rab was in the Mishnah of Mikvahs. And maybe according to another Gisa would come out, Rab could even follow according to the Rabbanan. What was the Shaila of Rab Papa and how the Gisa was? The boy Rab Papa was mesupik, was in doubt, that the Rav Tani Chasa Kret V'Reisha. If Rav learned that the case was that the 3 lugin of drawn water was missing a little bit, and in which in that little bit was the hashlama of the 3 lugin was done with wine. So it's mashma dafka beifan zeh, when there isn't a mixture of a complete 3 lugin of drawn water, that's where the Tanakama says it's not going to passel the mikveh. Aval shleisha lugin, but what's if it would have been complete 3 lugin of drawn water, and then the looks would have changed. The Tanakama pasli, the Tanakama would take a passel the mikveh, even if the looks like wine, because the Tanakama doesn't follow the looks. But Rabbi Yochanan came to say that even if the taruvis was complete 3 lugin of drawn water, and then the looks of, and then he poured wine over it and has the looks of, it doesn't look like water anymore. So there, according to Rabbi Yochanan, we go according to the looks, and it's not going to passel the mikveh. So if Rav holds in the Zaydah when we had 3 complete lugin of drawn water, which the looks now look like wine, it's not going to passel the mikveh. That's oima ki Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. So Rav was following like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, not like the Rabbanan who say that it's still going to be passel even if the looks change, being that there's there's 3 full lugin of drawn water, that alone it passes it. Or you can learn Rav did not learn that there was 3 lugin minus a kurtov, in which with the wine and the milk made up for the full 3 lugin. Rabbi Yochanan Nuri keep palag haseifu the palag. 1 minute. So here we're going to learn that it was 3 lugin, complete lugin. So according to this, you find that the Tanakama says it's not going to be a taruvis kemayim to pass the shleisha lugim, meaning benegayet that the shleisha lugim should pass the make shamim, the 3 lugin of water, in order to pass the make shamim. Even according to the Tanakama, we're going to say you need 2 tnoim. Number 1, you need complete 3 lugin the mind shovim, and number 2, the looks have to look like water. But if it looks like wine, even the Chachamim will hold it's not going to pass the make shamim. Rabbi Yochanan Nuri keep palag asef hu the palag. Where is he arguing? Rabbi Yochanan Nuri on the Tanakama on the last Heda. Then the guy where the 3 lugin of water was minus a kurtav, in which it fell in either milk, which looks like water. So the Tanakama says that it's not going to have a din like mayim, and therefore it's not going to passel the mikveh. Rabbi Yochanan will say it does have a din like mayim, being that everything goes according to the looks, and since it looks like the chalav looks like water, So we can combine the Kurtav to the rest, and we make it as 3 lugin of drawn water and passel the mikveh. According to that Tanakama, no. Being that there isn't 3 full lugin of regular water, you have a mixture of milk in it, so it's not going to pass the water. You need both time. You need 3 lugin of drawn water, plus that the looks and the looks like water. That's what will passel it. But if it's minus a Kurtav, according to Rabbi Yochanan Nuri, if it looks like water, even if it's mixed with chalav, the 3 lugin, it's still going to pass the mikveh because all you need is the looks. So, and the Rav, and his Rav, when he said shleisha lugin, a complete lugin of drawn water, which the looks like wine, is not going to pass the mikveh. That the Amar Kitiv Yaakov, according to that follows according to everybody, because even the Rabbanan hold you need both noim. You need that the look should look like water, and it should be a complete 3 lugin of water. But if it looks like wine, even though there's 3 lugin of drawn water, and then you put a wine and it looks like wine, it's not going to pass the mikveh, because according to Rabbanan in the second case will hold you need two tonight. You need 3 lugin of drawn water, plus that the looks should look like water. So Zakasha, why would we learn like the first Giser, and we would say Rav is going only according to Rabbi Yochanan Nuri? Why don't we learn like the second Giser? And the one of Papa Mebayale, Papa Taka, he was mesupik in this. L'Rava Pshitale, but according to Rava, it was Adava Pashit. He knew what the Giser of the Mishnah was, that it was talking about minus a Kurtav. And according to this, the Rabbanan hold that if in the Taruvis there was 3 complete lugin of mayim, it passes the mikveh even if it looks like wine. And the Hira of Rav could only follow according to Rabbi Yochanan Nuri, not according to the Shittas Rabbanan. And we said the reason why Rav pushed it off, and he learned the Mishnah according to the first Geser, because he says that it was known that the Braisa that Rabbi had learned was like the first Geser. Okay. So the Gemara now brings the Hira of Rav and the Geser of the Mishnah in Mikvayis. I never heard the Shmur that Rabbi Yehuda b'Shem Rav had learned. That what did Rabbi Yehuda that Rabbi Yehuda b'Shem Rav learned that is like the first Geser. Amalei Abaya, you yourself told us this Shmur. And this is what you said when you learned the Mishnah Mikvayis. By Shlish Lug Ma'im, you told us the Hira that Rabbi Yehuda said B'Shem Rav. The Rav Leitanoi Chasa Kaitav. The Rav did not learn in the Mishnah the Girsa that it was missing a minus a Kaitav Bereisha in the first part of the Mishnah. Rabbi Yochanan Sefer Palagan, you learned like the second Girsa. Rabbi Yochanan was only arguing on the Sefer, and the Reisha it goes according to everybody. The Rabbanan even hold that Shleish Lugin of Mayim Shuvim will only passel if it looks like water. You need 2 Tanoim. You have to have 3 Lugin of drawn water, plus it has to look like water. So this can follow, the Rav can follow even according to Rabbanan, who says like everybody. And that is, so they're saying to Rabbi Yosef that this is exactly what you told us, like the second Gersa. Right, Rabbi Yehuda, being that we spoke about Rabbi Yehuda Rav again, so we bring another din, another Hiram. Rabbi Yehuda said, a chavis, a barrel that was filled with water that had fallen into the Mediterranean Sea. I think someone who's table in the place where he poured out the barrel of drawn water. Also, he was not yet to the tefillah. He's still tamich. Because we're concerned maybe the 3 lugin of the water of the chavis are staggering there, staying in that place, and maybe he was table in that place in the Mayim Shuvim. And the problem with Mayim Shuvim is because the mikvahs in those times were dirty, and people would come out and wash themselves, and people would think, oh, what's the real part of the mikvah of cleansing is the shower after. So therefore, they made a dafk that the shleisha lugin of those waters should, anybody who goes into shleisha lugin of drawn water, it should be possible. And here we're talking about, we're afraid where he poured out the Shleish Lugan of draw water into the Mediterranean Sea. We're afraid the water was staggering there when he was table in that same place. It wasn't a tefillah, it was in the Shleish Lugan. We didn't say Amadavka, and this it was only said like Yamagadol, the Kavakaimat, that it's staggering. Aval and not about by a river where the water's flowing light. The din was not said so because the waters of the rivers are streaming and it's scattering the whole time, so it's not in one place. Tanya, and therefore it's going to be a kosher tefillah. Tanya, we also learned similarly in the Braisa, a barrel that was filled with wine that fell into the Yam HaGadol, the Mediterranean Sea. I tell Sham, one was table himself. Also late tefillah. It was not. His tefillah was not. It was not considered as a tefillah. We're concerned that the 3 lugan of the drawn water is staggering in one place, and that's where we're concerned that maybe he was tabled there, and therefore he's tamei. The Chayin says the Bryce continues because of this chash where the person was table himself. Kika shal truma, if there was a kika, a loaf of bread of truma shenafel sham that fell in the water where this person was table in the shleish lugan where he poured out and he was tabled there. So we're going to say tamei. We're going to say the truma is also tamei. What does it mean? What's the kavanah in adding a chayin, the loaf of truma, which fell in the place where this person was tabled, the kika becomes tamei? For sure. If he was tamei and he wasn't considered, and he was tabled and he touched those waters, those shleish lugin, we're concerned that the shleish lugin are still staggering there, so those shleish lugin are tamei. Of course, if the kika touches there, the kika now becomes tamei from the tamei water. After the Gemara, the Tema, I would have said, there by a person, we put him on his chazaka. Since before the tefillah he was mecheskes tamei, so now the tefillah is only a suffix whether it was matayim or not. So we put him back to chazaka that he's still tamei. But the gate, the kika of truma, the loaf of truma that fell into the water after the tefillah, it's a suffix if the tefillah was good or not, if the water is tamei or not. So we're going to put back the tumah on its chazak and that it was tired before it touched the water. It's kamash malan. That's why the Bryce is coming to teach us not so. Only the kikah does become tumah, and we don't go after the chazaka of tara. Zak the Mishnah, Edom testified that this person owes his friend 200 zuz. And they found that these Edom who testified against the accused holding 200 zuz, like they get malkes. They also pay because that the same the pasuk that's mechayiv malkes is not the same pasuk that mechayivim to pay. The pasuk that's mechayiv malkes is because leisana of leisana, and leisana is because of malkes if zayvan alav. And Tashlumim, it comes because of a different pasuk. Asis like Hashem Zama. Since the two chiyuvim come because of 2 different psukim, so we punish them with both. Those are the words I've made. The klal is that on one aveda you don't give 2 punishments because it says kitei risha achas you're not going to be mechayim because of 2 punishments. The Gemara will say it later. Why don't we say Kolam Shalom? Why don't we say Kolam Aleikeinu Mishalem? So this is brought down in Ksubis as well, that the pasuk Kasher Zaman is exclusively for the is for payment. Well, you have to look in Ksubis. Okay, so Gemara Middan we explain Yeshu Chayv Malchus Abayim. 2 Edom testify about this person that is Chayv Malchus that. They are testifying that he was able on Isalav that Yechai Malchus, but didn't so him, and they were found to be Zemnim, like they testified about Bein Gerusha Ben Chalutza, and they were found to be Zemnim. Like they get 80 Malchus, but 2 Bishum Lois because one is one lav is that you shouldn't testify falsely. So that for that is 1 Malchus. Ubishum Asis Like Hasha Zaman. And then the second Malchus is because of Asis Like Hasha Zaman. Those are the words of Abeya. Acham and he looking at Abayim. Acham say he only gets 40 Malchus Kasha Zaman. Zog the Gemara Bishlam Rabbanan, it's understood according to the Shitz Chachamim who say that they don't pay, but they don't get Malchus because it says Kedei Shasiksiv. It says v'hika kidei rishasei. So we can be shum rishachas have to mechayiv because of one punishment you can be mechayiv. We have to be mechayiv mishum shtei rishayes. Well, but you cannot punish it because of two punishments for one aveda. El Rabmeya, my time, only Rabmeya that's mechayiv they to say pay and get malchus. What's the reason? The chayt says kidei rishasei. We learn out only one punishment, not two. Amalullah. He learns out from Meitzi Shema. Somebody was accused his wife that he lived with her that he didn't find psulis in her, that she wasn't a virgin. So over there we say he gets loikum mashal ma Meitzi Shema, just like my Meitzi Shema loikum mashalim. He gets malchus and he also pays af curl. So too, anyone who does hamais aveda that yichayev, that's right to be chayev on that same aveda malchus and tashlumim, he gets punished for both. What do we see? That he gets in the Torah by Meitzi Shema you get for both, because it says v'yisrael say is malchus, and then it says v'anshu oisai meir kesef. So you see, there's loikum mashalom. In fact, you want to mal Meitzi Shema shekenu knas, and every knas by Meitzi Shema this that he's paying money is a knas. It's a novelty. Every knas is a chiddush, and you cannot learn out linking a regular tashlumim of regular mammon, of tashlum, regular monetary chiyuvim from a knas. And if you want to save a lot, Rabnei holds Rabbi Akiva the Amma Edom Zayim Knaso, that Edom Zayim is a knas. Since it's a knas, we can learn out from Meitzi Shema, just like Meitzi Shema is mechayiv tashlum with malchus, and it's a knas. So too, Edom Zayim should be chayiv to pay and get malchus from Meitzi Shema, which Kasher Zamam is also Knas. The Gemara brings a different shita of when we said we learned out from Meitzi Shema. Ula didn't say it. The shita Ramei and Al Mishnah. Rather, he said it with a total different Indian. Tanya, we learned in the Brais. It says not to be eating the cup of Pesach. It says when they gave the cup of Pesach, you shouldn't leave it till the morning, and if it's left over, you have to burn it. Because the pasuk is coming to give us meaning the burning of the leftovers. If the loisase not to leave over, that if he was able on the loisase, ain't like nalav, he's not going to get a malchus if he's going to burn it after, because it's a lav shandit lasei. That it's a lav that could be fixed up with us. Say, did Rabbi Yehuda? He says, no, that's not the real time why he's not getting malchus for the Easter for leaving over meat. The only reason why is the one who left over from the Kabbalah Pesach is not going to be chayiv. Because it's a lav which doesn't have any action in it. Ain't like lav. All he's doing is withholding from eating. He's not actually doing an action. So any lav that doesn't have action, you don't get malchus. Miklal, from this you can imply that Rabbi Yehuda that explained the reason why he's not getting malchus is only because it's a lav shenitglas. It's a lav shenitglas. Obviously, if there wouldn't be a say after the lav, it wouldn't be fixed with a say. So lav shen by ma'aseh, like no lav, he would say if there was only the lav, even though it's a lav shen by ma'aseh, you would get malchus on it. In fact, you want to know like from where did Rabbi Yehuda know this? That he would get malchus. Ula said, "Come on, Meitzi Shema." He learns it out from Meitzi Shema. Ma Meitzi Shema lav shein by ma'aser. Just like Meitzi Shema is a lav shein by ma'aser for like lav, and he gets malchus. Av kol lav shein by ma'aser like lav. So to every lav that doesn't have a ma'aser gets malchus. What do we say? Meitzi Shema is only dibur. Dibur is not ma'aser, and nevertheless he gets malchus. So to any lav that has no ma'aser, you get malchus. The reason why we're going to say, even as a lav shem by ma'aser is going to get malchus, because there you see the Torah was more stringent. It says v'yisru, kesef. So you see he's like a mashalom, since it's much more chamer. Maybe even though it's a lav shem by ma'aser, that's why. Even though it's a lav shem by ma'aser, he'll be chayiv malchus. But normally, it's not. It wouldn't be as stringent. He wouldn't get malchus. Rather, Reish Lakish says. Gamam Edom Zayim, we learn out from Edom Zayim. Ma Edom Zayim lav shein by ma'aser, just like Edom Zayim. The aveda is to dibur. It's a lav shein by ma'aser, the loik and I love, and nevertheless, the Torah was goyzer by Edom Zayim that you cannot punish kasher zamam by Edom by Yerusha Av kol lav shein by ma'isa like an love. It's even though even though when he testifies that it's a ben gushmein chalutzi, it's only dibur and he gets malchus. Av kol lav shein by ma'isa like no. Also any lav that there's no action, he gets malchus. Like Gemara mal Edom zayin shekein ein sichaso. Edom zayin has its own chumrah. It was machmir to punish them, even though they didn't receive an asah before the aveda. Mashayin can other avei lavin you need asah. So since it's more chamer, you cannot learn how to make about lav shein by ma'isa. Maybe the Torah was more machmer that we should give him malchus because we see that Torah was machmer, that you don't have to warn them before. Versus all other lavin, you do have to warn them before. It says the mitzvah shemra is without asra, and it's a lav shein by ma'isa, and he still gets malchus. You're going to ask, mitzvah shemra has its chumrah that's like a mishalem. So we'll say, the mitzvah shemra doesn't have the chumrah of Edom Zemim. Edom Zemim doesn't have the chumrah of mitzvah shemra. So obviously, it's that their chumras that they have is not the reason for why a lav shein by ma'isa gets malchus. The side that they both have in common, lav shein by ma'isa. It's a lav that there is no action. But like no love, you get malchus. Av kol lav shein by ma'isa, like no love. So too, I mean, lav where there's no ma'isa, you get malchus. In fact, you want about lav tzad shabbos shvahem by mitzvah shemra and Edom Zemim is shekein knas. In both of the cases, the Torah placed the knas. So they have a chumrah mishutafes for mitzvah shemra and Edom Zemim. So a place where this chumrah of knas, so the Torah was mechayiv malchus even on a lav shein by ma'isa. And from these two, you cannot learn out on other lavim which doesn't have a ma'isa, which doesn't have the chumrah of knas, to say that they're going to get malchus. Says you want to lay kasher. Rabbi Yehuda lo yisava like Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Yehuda does not hold like Rabbi Akiva that the inyan of chiyuv Edom Zemim is a knas. Rather, Rabbi Yehuda holds it's a inyan of monetary values. In fact, you want to halamal la'atzad hashav shabahan. Only we could say mitzvah shemra has its own chumrah that's like a mishalem, and Edom Zemim has its own chumrah that it's chayiv even without hasa. Says Rabbi Yehuda tzad chamor lo yiparuch. Rabbi Yehuda the tzad of chamor to say that this one has each one has a chumrah of its own. That's why we're going to say a lav shein by ma'isa is going to get malchus. There's not a reason not to learn that out, because each chumrah we see it's not totally in their chumrah, because each one has a different chumrah and each one doesn't have the other's chumrah. So you see, it's not because of the chumras that they're getting malchus. Rabbanan who say that the Edom Zemim don't get malchus because of the avera of loisana. So what do they do with this pasuk loisana? It's another pasuk which talks about a lav which he should have got malchus for, and they're going to say he doesn't get it. So what do they use it for? That pasuk is needed pashkas hara because we have a cloud that whenever the Torah mentions a punishment, the Torah also has to mention the phrase about a warning, and the warning for kasher zaman is from the pasuk of Leisana. If there wouldn't be a pasuk Leisana, there wouldn't be then the punishment. We wouldn't be able to give the punishment. Where do we find in the Torah a warning for Edom Zemim? If only if in the Torah there is a Azhara first, and if Loisana is not being used as Azhara, where do they know a warning? They learn out the Azhara from this that it says in the pasuk on the Sha'arim Yishbu v'yirah v'lo yisif l'asas oiv kadav azeh. So from the leftovers should hear and they should see and they should continue to do such evilness within your midst. So you see the Torah from Lo Yasif Halasais, that's the warning for Edom Zemim. Rabbanan, what do Rabbanan do? That they learn out from Leisana. So what do they learn out from the pasuk on the Shem Yishmu? Says the Gemara, the Rabbanan need that pasuk on the Shem to tell you ledin hachraza, for that you have to announce once Bezdin punishes the Eidim Zayimim, there has to be an announcement that the plenty the guy killed in that certain Bezdin for the Aveda of Eidim Zayimim, and this is in order that this should be like a warning for anyone, to all those that are listening, or everybody should be listening, on the severity of the Aveda of Eidim Zayimim, and they shouldn't try to do this. So where does Ameya know Achraza from? They learn it from Yishma V'Ro. This din Achraza we learn out from Yishma V'Ro itself, and the Hemshech of Lo Yisif and Lasers that we needed for the Asara for Eidim Zayimim, that because of it they get punished Kasha Zamam.